We were told that President Trump would never defeat CBS. Now it looks like they're going to settle very soon. Now the legacy drive-by journalists are telling the same thing, except this time it's in regards to those pesky Hollywood tariffs regarding productions overseas. Yes, it'll bend the industry down to its knees, but no, it will never happen because it's unconstitutional, it's not allowed, it's nebulous, there's no plan. Except now, folks, exclusively, we're ready to bring you the unions. That's right, the big unions are behind Trump on the tariffs. This is out of CNBC. It says Hollywood studio stocks briefly fall after Trump proposes foreign film tariff. Now, this is true that some of the stocks fell, some of them recovered, some of them did not necessarily. We're going to explain why in just a moment. Here are the key points out of the article by Sarah Whitten. Shares of Netflix, Disney, Warner Brothers Discovery, Paramount, and Comcast fell during early morning trading after President Donald Trump proposed a tariff on film production shot outside the United States. Trump called tax incentives offered by foreign countries a national security threat. How Trump intends to implement these duties is unclear, as is exactly who is being targeted and who would foot the potential tariff bill. Now, folks, if you go to the stocks and you look at these, and we don't have time to do each one of these individually, but I will say that as a general rule, and I'm not here to give you any kind of financial advice, please do not take any financial advice from me. We would tell you not to take advice from Jim Cramer. No, I kid. We don't kid about that.
Hey, the inverse Cramer is a good thing, bro.
That's right. But don't take any advice from us. Find your own tax or financial advisor in your area. Now, as a general theoretical rule, the companies that were more hyper-focused in their portfolio on entertainment delivery, so we're talking about Warner Brothers, we're talking about Netflix, we're talking about Paramount, they are more exposed to this tariff threat. At least from the viewpoint of investors. Companies that have a more diversified portfolio with capex investments, physical assets, let's say theme parks, cruises, etc., or in the case of Comcast, they're flat out a internet provider. Those kind of companies, Disney is included in this, where they have a diversified portfolio, they have less risk, at least at first glance. Now, I would argue that Disney is a special case, but it doesn't matter because we're talking about the psychology of investors. Also, the panic that could have been did not seem to manifest. People are waiting to find out what exactly is this plan that Trump has.
The devil is in the details, and the stock market hates uncertainty.
That's right. Now, the deal here is that the legacy media is attempting to say that this is not legit. There's no way to implement it. It's not this. They shouldn't do it. It's silly. It's ridiculous. Yada, 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 yada. We're going to disprove that in just a minute. But before we do, let's give you what the legacy media is saying. By Brian Stelter, who is a bastion of great journalism. Jamie Gangle and Kevin Liptak from CNN. Hollywood is shaken by Trump's tariff plan for the movie industry. Here's what they have to say, and they're going to be dismissive. Filmmakers and Hollywood financiers are baffled, to say the least, by President Trump's announcement that he wants a 100% tariff on movies produced outside the United States. Several movie, studio, and streaming industry executives who spoke with CNN are downright apoplectic because they believe the president hasn't thought about the ramifications of his proposal, which could decimate an iconic industry. On first blush, it's shocking and would represent a virtually complete halt of production, one industry insider remarked. But in reality, he has no jurisdiction to do this, and it's too complex to enforce. Well, I'm glad they found an industry insider who can tell us exactly how SCOTUS is going to rule on this.
God.
Other sources are taking a more open-minded view, asserting that Trump is instigating a dialogue about a real issue, so-called runaway production that has left many Americans in the movie and TV production sector out of work. But the prospect of film levies has injected even more uncertainty into an already unsettled business. Shares of Netflix and other major entertainment companies fell Monday as investors digested Trump's confusing comments. In its current form, the tariff doesn't make any sense. Jay Suarez, vice president of United Talent Agency, told CNN.
Mr. Suarez, what present form?
Yes, exactly.
We don't know.
Don't know.
There is no present form.
Nope.
In its present form. Oh, God.
American actors and directors would generally prefer to work close to home, but the fact is it's cheaper for Hollywood studios to pay for everyone to get on planes, pay for hotels, because the cost of labor, lack of rebates, and the ability to make things overseas is infinitely cheaper. Now, this basically what this article is, because it keeps on going and going. It plays two ways. It says, oh no, oh me, oh dearie me, the movies are moving away. And then it also says, but Trump is a stinky, smelly, dumb dotard who has no idea what he's doing, and none of it will work anyway. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that our very own LW Ghost sent us a document which I believe unravels all of this and immediately makes it clear that something is happening behind the scenes and that there is, in fact, a plan. Are we ready? Culture, can I put it up on the screen?
Go.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Teamsters. For immediate release, it says, on May 5th, 2025, Teamsters statement on President Trump's union job-protecting film tariffs. It says the following is a statement from Teamsters General President Sean M. O'Brien and Teamsters Motion Picture Division Director Lindsay Doherty on President Donald Trump's announcement to place 100% tariff on films produced abroad. For years, Hollywood studios have hollowed out the industry by following corporate America's crooked playbook of outsourcing good union jobs. Studios chase cheap production costs overseas while gutting the American workforce that built the film and TV industry known as showbiz. I inserted the last part. These gigantic corporations line their pockets by recklessly cutting corners, abandoning American crews, and exploiting tax loopholes abroad. While these companies get rich fleeing to other countries and gaming the system, our members have gotten screwed over. The Teamsters Union has been sounding the alarm for years. If studios want to benefit from American box offices, they must invest in American workers. We thank the Teamsters, folks, all of them. We thank President Trump for boldly supporting good union jobs when others have turned their heads. This is a strong step toward finally reining in the studio's un-American addiction to outsourcing our members' work. The Teamsters applaud. Listen, this is big because this puts pressure on the left. The Teamsters applaud any elected official, Republican, Democrat, Independent, who's willing to fight for American workers. We look forward to continuing to work with the administration to build a trade agenda that benefits our members and workers throughout the American motion picture and TV industry. It's time to create good film jobs here at home by bringing production back to America. So, Lou, could you walk us through how big are the Teamsters and what kind of an impact do they have at Hollywood? What kind of pull do they have? Walk us through this.
Well, the Teamsters are the Teamsters. You know, they drive all the stuff around. But beyond that, they have members in all these other industries too, who are looking to keep jobs at home and not abroad. One thing about tariffs, if stuff isn't coming in from other places, the transportation of that stuff isn't happening either. And thus, the people in the transportation industry are staying home. If X semiconductor factory gets built with 5,000 jobs, how do those semiconductors get to you in Podunk? Answer, probably on a Teamster truck. So this is much bigger than the movie industry. And by the way, the other big union that's come out saying, well, we don't know the details, but we'll see, and it looks like it could be good, is SAG. Why? Because, look, when they said, well, our members would rather work at home. Now, the stars can get on a plane to go anywhere. The issue isn't the stars. The issue is all the other cast members. I was talking about this earlier with one of our panelists, and I mentioned there are all these Canadians who work in England as Americans in movies. Go sometime and look up a guy named Shane Rimmer. This is a guy you will instantly recognize his face, who's a Canadian actor who, because he's technically British Commonwealth, plays Americans in Bond movies and every other kind of movie ever made in England in the last 50 years. Well, those guys bring home a paycheck too, you know. And if you can't cast from locals because you're not shooting locally, as I've explained before, all of the unions, to my knowledge, have a thing called distant location rates, which is if you are being sent to a place outside of your local area to be in a film, whether it's in front or behind the cameras, they have to pay you the transportation. They have to pay you a per diem to live there. They have to pay you higher rates because you're away from home. So often what they'll do is say, listen, I can't hire you on this thing in Georgia, let alone in the UK. But if you manage to establish a residence there, you know, rent an apartment, or you and 12 friends, and walk on one day as a local where I don't have to pay those expanded rates and goodies, hey, I'll hire you. And it's not legal and it's not kosher and people do it every day. So this thing, I mean, we have no clue exactly how this will sort out.
Well,
I guarantee you that Donald Trump and his people do have a plan. They could have put it all out there on day one, but that's not how they operate. How they operate is to throw a stick of dynamite in the room and watch everybody scurry. And then they say, oh, well, it's not that bad. We're only going to do this. And it seems like they're conciliatory, and it's when that's all they ever expected to get in the first place. So we shall see. We shall see.
Well, and I agree with you that I think there is a plan behind the scenes, because there have been, there's a commission, there's a committee that's working on this. We don't know the details yet. I want to go to culture, though. Culture, walk us through the import of the unions now getting behind this at the same time that the drive-by journalists are all declaring, oh, no, this can't happen. It's unconstitutional. There's no way you can implement it.
The drive-by urinalists who are supposed to be plugged into politics certainly aren't paying attention to this particular move. This works on so many different levels. I'm going to focus on just the politics. Obviously, Lou got the Hollywood aspect, but I'm going to say this gives you a divisive issue for the midterms. You can actually break away more labor to favor more Republicans on the ticket as they move forward. These are the kinds of things we're doing as the Republican Party. We are aligning ourselves with labor. The other party that's been claiming for years that is supposed to be aligned with labor has really not done anything for you. Here we are trying to protect your jobs, keep them here at home, in entertainment and in automotive and in many other ways. This is, again, as somebody who's going to actually just started reaching out to political operatives that I know, I'm firing out some talking points so that they can get with their, particular folks politically and start to mix it up, because this is an opportunity, and it's normally not something we talk about on this channel or even my channel, but this is one of the maneuvers that you're going to see out of this administration going forward. The stick of dynamite, it doesn't hit one target, it blasts flipping everything, and it does it all at once.
And one more thing. And these major unions, like the Teamsters, like the AFL-CIO, all the rest of them, they don't just contribute money to political candidates.
No.
Their biggest benefit to the Democrats over the years is in-kind contributions of bodies. People that drive people to the polls on election day, people to move posters, people to set up reviewing whatever it is. They're doing all that on their own time and their own dime, and they won't do it if they don't like you. Well, if your leadership says, like him, he's doing a good thing, I don't care if you're in the movie business or not, if you're in any business, in a Teamster or anything else, hey, that's worth considering.
But this is 3 in a row for the administration right now when it comes to exactly what Lou's talking about. The in-kind contributions, the walking around stuff, the door knocking, the support at, the polls, everything. This is why labor's been so important, because they're organized like the communists. So, because it's kind of communist. But anyway, we'll set that aside for now and just say, it's good to have allies. And let me tell you, there's been a little reason for the unions to tout Democratic support over the last several years. And again, I'm not really making this political. I'm just saying this is purposeful, and everything the administration is doing.
Just let me jump in with this, Vash, and I'm done.
Of course.
The sneakiest line in that whole Teamster statement: "We'll support anybody, Democrat, Republican, Independent, who's helping our people."
Boom.
Have you seen any on the other side that have lately? No, but honest, we're not political. We're just for the folks,
We want to bring people in illegally to take your jobs. We want to take your jobs and send them to other countries. Well, that's the unions are like, no, thank you, please. Let's stop doing this, please. Anyway, go ahead.
To add a little bit to that, I mean, this is also why the Trump administration said no tax on tips, right? Because they're thinking about the labor out in Nevada, for example, and
there you go.
the hotel unions and so forth.
Yeah.
Now, this article that you're seeing right here was the debut article for the announcement that Trump made there, and this has been updated actually 3 times. And to underscore the miscalculation here, you can see right here that Gavin Newsom was actually asked about this, and the office said, "Looks like it's distraction day in Washington D.C." This is kind of how they treat the lower class right there. In fact, when this was all kind of still kind of brewing behind the scenes here, you can see this May 2nd. John Voight has a plan to save Hollywood. Will Trump or anyone else even care? Well, guess what, folks? The people that have are part of the Hollywood apparatus of actually making films. I'm not talking about above the line. I'm talking about below the line. People who have lost so many jobs when this soundstage occupancy rate has hit 60%. Those people absolutely care. I was talking about this my folks because they were like, well, wait a minute. How could Hollywood push back on this? I'm like, whoa. Below the line talent, they're going to love this. Above the line talent, corporations and everybody else, they're going to hate this.
What you said about tips and young service workers.
Yes.
What about the removing the tax on Social Security? Have you seen the average age of the people at these anti-Tesla rallies? They're old farts.
Yeah,
they're lefty old farts who go back to Ben and Jerry's glory days. But a whole bunch of other people are going to say, wait, I'm supposed to vote against and act against the guy that took all these taxes off of me, off of what is for many people their major, if not only, source of revenue to live out their tender years.
Yeah, and you know what, Lou, you're 100% on it. And again, everything that's been done, whether or not you're paying attention, has been calculated and multi-layered. It's not single layer thinking. It's not the smooth brain NPC directivity of, a thin message that has 0 results. It is a well thought out strategery, is one of my favorite commenters.
One of Trump's great qualities as a politician is he gets up in the morning and says something that sounds like, hey, I had a dream last night. I got a great idea. What do you say? Let's try this. When in fact, he's been plotting it for months. Indeed. And has all the reactions already built in.
Yep.
So, one side is playing 3D chess and the other side is playing losers checkers.
Let me go to Lauren on a philosophical question here. It seems to me that, they're begging, they're pleading, they're screaming, we want the details. There are no details. There can't be details. He's a moron. He's a dotard, right? Lauren, the issue, and by the way, YouTube, I said dotard. Took that from some dictator somewhere. Lauren, as a philosophical standpoint, when it comes to this sort of thing, there's no advantage that President Trump gets by giving them the details until he is ready. It is full leverage for him. It is full-blown leverage. He holds all the cards. They don't know what cards he has, and it brings them to the table ready to do whatever it takes because he has the ability, apparently, to annihilate their industry. So they're going to beg, and they're going to be more apt to not attack Orange Man bad or moderates or conservatives, etc. Lauren, your thoughts on the idea that they want the info and he's not giving it?
Well, I think you're right. What he's essentially doing is softening the battlefield. It's if the enemy does not know what you're doing, and especially after they've seen what he's done with tariffs, where he says, look, you're going to want to be the first ones in line because you're going to get a better deal. That's going to predispose your enemies to want to come to the negotiating table and say, whoa, we can work with you. Don't destroy our industry. And if it allows them to spin things in such a way that makes it look like, hey, we're doing this for the betterment of America. And I noticed that they also said, so somebody in the chat had mentioned, well, this is not really a good thing, that using this as trying to justify this from a national security standpoint is stretching a bit. And normally I would agree. But I read somewhere in some of the articles that were talking about this that part of the angle that they're taking is that, look, if we are outsourcing a lot of our movie making to appease other countries such as China, there's a propaganda angle that is attached to this that is information warfare. And in that sense, I think you can potentially make a national security argument. It just depends, again, on how they position this. But I think you're absolutely right. The goal of making this announcement was to cause chaos, to bring people to the table to start figuring out, all right, what marbles can we get, and how do we then bring that out to the public in such a way that it sounds like a win for everybody?
And culture, Lauren's exactly right, but I want to go to you and ask a follow-up to that. part of what they have to fear is that President Trump can come out, and I'm not suggesting that he will. I'm not recommending that he will. I'm not, hoping and praying and waiting for this to happen. I'm simply saying that strategically, he can come out and list out some details that may never happen, but he can draw a line in the sand and say, oh, well, this is what we're going to do, and just wipe their stocks completely out tomorrow. Yeah. And he has the ability to do that. And so they have to play nice with him. The journalists don't do that because the journalists don't have any sense in their heads. But the studio execs, they're not going to come out right now and be outright vicious towards him. You'll notice it's crickets. Bob Iger has not come out and condemned this. Zaslav has not. Nobody's going to do that because he can come out and just make a statement. And whether or not it goes to SCOTUS, whether or not he really intends to do it, he can create an absolute upheaval in the industry and annihilate fortunes.
Yeah. And he can actually direct what's going to happen within the studios. And I think that's the most terrifying thing that's happening to these entertainment companies right now, whether it be the lawsuit that he has against CBS/60 Minutes and Paramount, and the arresting of the deal that could be moving forward with Skydance. So on one level, he's demonstrating that kind of power. Here, he's demonstrating very soft power, the ability to shift the way an entire industry is allowed to move. That's what these tariffs are. It's like, hey, we found an avenue to basically offshore, our production, and it's much, much cheaper there. Except problem that eliminates work here at home. All Trump has to say, and literally this Teamster statement is saying it for him. This is the other great thing about how units will react to interaction. What are they doing at the Teamsters? They're outlining exactly what Trump is going to utilize as a bludgeoning instrument, when it gets to the midterm elections. It's a form of 3D chess that most people didn't realize. They've been planning this for 4 years.
Yes.
If you didn't think they knew every single step along the way, as Lauren and Lou and Vash have pointed out, of course they did.
Right. And if you're on the left, it doesn't do you any good to pretend that they didn't plan this out. Because
and one more thing, the only thing they've got left to say, and you keep seeing it show up in all these articles from the left, well, he may not even have the power to do it. Well, yes, he does. But aside from that, they've got nothing to say because they don't know what it is. Well, what if it's something that they like? Are they then going to say, wait, you can't do that thing we like because you have no power to do it? I don't think so.
Well, and what does that do when you enter into the next election cycle? Wait a minute. This thing that would help you, we're going to fight against. That's a bad plan.
Yes.
And look, I have had brilliant conversations since the beginning of this week, which started on Sunday. And I feel like we're going to have more of them throughout the week. So if you are not here, subscribed, and paying attention, you should be, because I promise you're going to hear smart people talking about brilliant things that are going to happen not only in the entertainment industry, but elsewhere as well. And with that, Pro, I must excuse myself. I am past due in another location. So thank you for having me today. You, sir, are a person of greatness.
He's late for a very important date.
And we're all aiming for the greatness of your beard. Culture, thanks for being here.
Yeah,
Good night,
you bet.
Culture.
You bet. I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Lots of love. Hey, subscribe or members or whatever. Hit the thumbs up at least. Goodness gracious.
Just not the thumbs down. Don't do the thumbs down. No. Listen, folks, you can do whatever you want. Vote however you want. Here's the deal. The Wednesday. There's a Wednesday coming where a Disney earnings call will be happening. It's not so far away, folks. It's hours away. And after that, there's a Warner Brothers and a Paramount. If you're the president of the United States, and for whatever reason you want to shuffle the deck a little bit, you don't come out on Sunday night and put some details out. You just jostle them a bit, and then late on a Tuesday, I don't know that he's going to do it.
Here's I think the opposite. He is giving them an out on these calls by them being able to say, well, since we don't know what the plan is, we can't really comment.
Right.
And he's also sending them a message saying, What if I had? Where would you be then?
That's a good point, too.
They're all going to give thanks that he hasn't given any details, because if he had, they'd have to react to them, and it wouldn't be good. So this is a carrot for them, not a stick. But it reminds them that the stick is out there.
Well, folks, we're going to keep tracking this. It's a big story. It's big news. It is developing. And as it breaks, we'll break into live coverage if necessary. We'll put out a video when needed. But never have we ever, I don't believe, seen a U.S. president have this sort of an impact on the entertainment industry. Lou, is there any president you can think of that had this kind of a potential?
The last time there was a story this all-encompassing about the entertainment industry was Blacklist.
There you go. All right, folks, we'll keep track of it.
Wilton, what are you doing?
Well, I was feeling really behind and uneducated on all the happenings in the entertainment world. So, I was trying to work out a solution, specifically around 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And, well, this is what I came to.
That's not what that means.
Oh.
But, why wouldn't you just watch Midnight's Edge on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays? And on Tuesdays, on WDW Pro's channel, you got the Pro Show, and on Thursdays, you got That Park Place with Jonas and Vash.
Jonas? That guy sucks.
Well, feel free to jump in the chat and remind him of that regularly.
I won't feel free. I am free, baby. But I think you forgot something important.
What's that?
On Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, there's something really special that happens on Floros Under a Rock.
Ah, right.
Under a Rock, where we don't simply talk about entertainment. We actually try to be the entertainment. Which, I mean, Floral, you're actually kind of dragging the show down, you know what I mean?
Well, theoretically, you and everyone else knows now what's happening at 12 Eastern Time throughout the week.
Yep. Now, just a point of clarity. You say 12 p.m. Eastern Time that the Midnight Edge will be happening. Is Tom gonna commit to being on time?
That's a fair question.
Okay.